Hello. Welcome to another episode of Walk the Dog Cinema. Opening a little bit differently this time with the Roca dog walking along here. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. I know it's been a while since I've posted. Busy week, and doing epics can take a lot of getting used to, so to speak. I went with David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia is the very first movie to watch. I had only ever seen the end of the movie, to believe it or not. I had never watched the movie all the way through, and for the most part, I enjoyed the movie. Last half was a little bit of a slog to get through. The movie is like 3.5 hours long. The first 2 hours, just fly by, and then that last hour and a half kind of drags. And I'll get to that in just a bit, but I just want to say, it's considered a masterpiece, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. And in one essence, it deserves it rightly so. I can imagine that time besides like 10 Commandments. I mean, there's movies that were done in such a manner, but I will say that it's an interesting film, especially from a lead character standpoint. I love all the World War One backdrop, and British Empire stuff is kind of interesting to watch and see, and especially in movies and how it's portrayed. And usually, just like this one, the sets, designs, and all the costuming is like pitch perfect and just really awesome to look at. And the big takeaway, and I'll agree, Peter O'Toole's performance was amazing. It was kind of like his big break, first movie for the most part, and he deserved that Oscar nomination for sure. I'd have to kind of look at, really see what other movies he was up against, but his performance is like really solid, especially the first 2 hours. And what a character Lawrence is. He's starts off as a lieutenant in the British Army and gets sent to Arabia to help fight off the Turks, who are basically taking up everything over there. And it's kind of like the fall of the Ottoman Empire a little bit, that aspect. And the political leanings of the movie are fascinating. If you're into politics and kind of like the back dealings of how dealing with other cultures, the movie really delves into that. And the script is wonderfully written in that regard, to see all of those machinations coming to life. And that all makes really interesting work. I'm really into that stuff, like listening to how people talk and move. And there's some great actors. Alec Guinness is in this. He plays an Arab prince. You got Claude Rains, the Invisible Man. He plays a French politician named Dryden. You got Omar Sharif, who plays this interesting sheik, so to speak, that's under Alec Guinness, and who becomes really good friends and kind of takes on Lawrence's personality a little bit, and kind of looks to him as a gift from Allah. And so it's a really interesting performance. And it starts off nuanced because how he's introduced, he kind of kills another Arab because of the clan that they're from, and how they're not supposed to drink from a water well as they traverse across the desert. And it wasn't totally outright murder because the other guy has a gun pointed at him, but Lawrence takes it as such because the other was Peter O'Toole's friend. And so there's this interesting dynamic, and especially their first contact within it. His introduction is amazing, coming out of the desert, and kind of looks like a mirage, and that's kind of a special lens was made for this movie for that. And the movie is famous for looking like a painting with all the wide shots. And I'll agree, you have to see the movie in widescreen. No other way. If you see a truncated version of it in anything but the proper widescreen of this movie, you're losing a lot, because Lean really did paint a canvas here. There's just some great, beautiful shots, especially with sandstorms and other effects of the desert. You don't get the really tried and true where people are kind of like dehydrating so much. He doesn't make it all that dirty and dusty in one sense. It's kind of very romanticized in that regard, and I think it fits the movie really well because we're seeing a romanticized version of World War I and T.E. Lawrence's life in Arabia. And like I said, the character Lawrence is kind of interesting. He's kind of humble at the beginning and almost becomes, and I would even say becomes kind of a megalomaniac by the end, and then gets humbled in a really brutal way by the Turks, and then suffers through some PTSD to kind of want revenge from a almost megalomaniac thing again, and his mind's just kind of all over the place. And yeah, it's really an out there performance by Peter O'Toole. And like I said, the second half, because the characters are so defined in that first 2 hours, and it really moves on. Once we kind of know who they are, that last hour and a half, it just gets to the end, so to speak, so we could get to the end. And it kind of feels like that to me, because they start blowing up trains and doing all of those things and fighting through it all. And there isn't any like great war scenes. There are a few haunting stuff in it, and right before all of that takes place, that's what I wanted to get into. And so for me, that's kind of where it suffers, but it's still a great movie, still a great watch, so watch it. Now I'm gonna get, I know I've kind of already done some spoilers, but I'm gonna really get into some crazy spoilers here. So if you've never seen the movie, and I would stop it here for sure. Otherwise, let's keep going. The movie opens basically with T. Lawrence's death in the 1930s, and then it shoots back to flashback because they're memorializing him, the British, and then we talk about it, and that's how the story goes. And all of that is handled wonderfully, very energetic and exciting. And like I said, the script is done really well when it comes to writing things. The dialogue's crisp. Like I said, Omar Sharif has this great sequence where he's coming up out of the desert and gets introduced, and it's really an amazing shot. When you see it, you'll know it, and it looks like a mirage, but he's getting closer and closer. But it's this crazy, not wide angle shot, but telephoto shot, but done wide angle. So kind of an oxymoron there, but it's a great shot where it looks like a mirage and it's done in camera. It's not a special effect. So that is what I think is really cool. But I want to get to the main crux of the review within this. And for me, this is kind of where everything, it doesn't fall apart, but it just doesn't carry the same steam. So we're getting into right before Lawrence kind of unites all the Arab clans together to do the Arab uprising revolution to take down the Turks. And he is traversing with his two young men who are kind of like his servants, and they're traversing across the desert. And one of them gets swallowed up by the like quicksand, so to speak. And this whole sequence, it's really hard to explain fully, but man, the music is haunting. It's probably the creepiest notion I've seen in a film like this. But it's so powerful. So the music is this haunting ethereal, ghost-like soundtrack, and we get these vistas of this wind-swept dunes and sand, and it's beautiful but then dangerous all in the same, and it really invokes all this emotion. And Lawrence is getting some victories here. We know where he's going, but he's got to get across the Sinai, if I'm not mistaken, to get to a part where he's like scoping out this settlement to get back to his regiment to ask for stuff for the Arabs, like guns and money and artillery. And like I said, they come upon this, like, I mean, it's a great sequence, and it's just, you know, you really feel it when he loses his companion in the desert, and he feels guilty about it. And then he goes on with the other boy, and he's despondent, and it's crazy because, like, there's these sandstorms, and then you see their faces are like white like ghosts because of the sand sticking to them, but everything looks clean. Like it's beautiful and haunting. And like I said, the music is just, it really gives you goosebumps. And then they come upon this town or city, used to be a city, that's like desolately burned out, and it's like this dead corpse of a city. And it's just the way it's shot. It's like your soul's been sucked from you, and you still have the music, and you have Peter O'Toole there, and you see his face, and he's in this white chic outfit, and there's these hauntingly blue eyes, and it's so creepy but so well done. I think that part startled me so much in the movie that like there was just so much emotion and richness and depth to this sequence, and there wasn't any real talking. It just, you know, Peter O'Toole's great acting. He's despondent when he loses, and then loses his companion, and then how he sees this burned out building, you know, and how they traverse it. And the sequence is probably 5 minutes long, and it's the best part of the movie for me in that regard, just from an emotional standpoint. And that's, you know, that's what the second part kind of lacks. We get this emotional high. He does get back to where he crossing the Sinai, gets to the general, and we get a little bit of political intrigue. And then the movie just kind of, they're blowing up railroad cars, and you know, there's a little bit to be done with the Arabs and stuff, but his character just kind of becomes megalomaniac, one-dimensional, almost villainous in his like god complex kind of mode. And then he kind of comes out of it, and the character just kind of stays strange. And I'm sure, you know, and from what I've read about it, the guy was pretty strange in that sense, but it lacks some depth there for me. Like I said, political intrigue keeps up, but it loses its emotional impact after that point. It's like that was the culmination of all that emotion you've seen for the first 2 hours, and then boop, it's gone. And so just be forewarned, the second half isn't as good as the first half, but you'll want to continue and finish it. But I really want you to, you know, focus in when you watch, especially movies, like have an emotional resonance with it. You know, even if it kind of ruins a certain part of it, you know, it's those moments we want to see in film, for me at least. You know, you get that, whoa, I've never seen this before, or wow, that was done so amazingly. And there's just all sorts of stuff in that first 2 hours of, you know, when he's riding camelback with a column of the Arabs, and just some amazing shots that do resonate with you, and seeing how they build the character up without using dialogue again, but painting a picture, and how, you know, and that's the other thing with that music. Like, a lot of the beginning feels otherworldly, like we're not a part of this world. Like it feels like not of planet Earth, like he's on Mars or something, even though it's here on Earth, you know. And this actually did happen. So, you know, in that regard, and I kind of liked all that. It really it really speaks to, you know, David Lean really establishing all of that. And then we just kind of get to the home hums of that last hour and a half. So all in all, really great experience. I hope you, in that sense, learned a lot within seeing it now for the first time fully through, and see what everyone thinks about it. And I agree, it's a movie that is up there, and it's a good one to watch as far as epics go. I don't know if I'd watch it all the way through again, just because the Lawrence character is kind of all over the place in that regard. But I would love to watch that one sequence at any point, just to kind of check it out and just watch it again. That's the middle sequence when they're crossing the Sinai is just amazing. So that's that. Moving on, and hope you enjoy it. Let me know your comments about what you think of Lawrence of Arabia. And otherwise, please subscribe to join the community, and let's get busy watching film. Have a good one, everyone.